Folks, do you get the feeling that the Federal Reserve actually hates the housing market? Well, in reality, the housing market to the Fed is something that they can influence, right? As we've talked about many times on this show, the Fed adjusts the federal funds rate once every 6 weeks or so. And then in addition to that, they also jibber jabber and try to talk tough. What that does is typically influence the bond market. The bond market typically influences the mortgage market. So as we saw last week, we celebrated that one day where rates broke below 6% and they averaged 5.99%. In 3, 4, 5 days, they are now at 6.4%. So why does the Fed hate housing? Well, whether we like it or not, housing is the most levered business. What does that mean? Well, most folks get 30-year mortgages. The average down payment on a mortgage last time I checked was around 11%. Let's call that 10% between you and I. That means 90% of the purchase is financed, and it's financed over a long duration, right? Most people today get fixed rate 30-year debt. So again, because of that, they can influence it, right? By moving rates from 5.9 to 6.42, that's 0.5%, rough and tough. And you can see that housing gets more expensive on a monthly basis. So I don't know that the Federal Reserve hates housing, but they certainly want it to slow down, and slow down it has, right? It's collapsed 40%, right? The Fed can't directly control prices, but it can control transactions, and that's what they're doing. It's the most rate sensitive, right? As rates go up, it becomes unaffordable because, again, mortgages, at least in today's ilk, you have to be approved, right? I was buying in 06, 07 where all you needed to do was sign your name. Today, you need to be approved. Higher credit scores, real down payments, capacity to pay, debt service, all of those things. So again, the Fed influences housing. The Fed doesn't want to see a rejuvenation of the housing market. But again, as I spoke about in a video yesterday, the housing market is simply broken. We are going to be at rough and tough 4 million transactions for years to come because the supply is simply not there. Again, look at your buy box, look at supply, look at this, just look at the total MLS in your area. Inventory is going down. New listings are going down. That is not a recipe for a collapse. Got a couple of Fed presidents out talking. Again, remember folks, we warned you about this. They are going to talk tough. CPI reading next week is very important. Fed Christopher Waller, rates could go higher than expectations and stay there longer. This feels like a message you and I have been talking about for 6 months. They still want to give that to the Fed. I still believe we have one more rate increase, maybe 2, and then they're done. But the Fed's going to talk tough for quite a while. Again, remember, please remember, the Fed will talk tough up until the day Jerome Powell gets in front of us and says, we're done. And then I still expect the Fed to talk tough. They're still going to say, hey, I can already hear the quote, we stand at the ready to do more. Can you believe that's what we're going to hear? Probably going to hear that in May. We stand at the ready to do more, but we are going to see the combined influence going forward. Employment markets are robust, and again, this is Christopher Waller. The employment market is robust. Again, 3.4% unemployment. You simply don't have a recession when unemployment's at 3.4%. And again, a robust jobs market can influence customer spending. Wage data is starting to improve. We actually saw that in the January jobs number. While it was a barn burner and I think been explained away, wages are starting to decelerate, which is something they are keen on. And again, Christopher Waller says that the market is expecting 2 more quarter points. That means March and I think May. And he says, hey, we may do more. Next up, we got John Williams, again, part of the Fed, says rates could go higher than the central bank anticipates. What does that mean? So what Christopher Waller, the first Fed president, says is basically the market, we could go higher than the market expects. What John Williams is saying is, hey, we put out a dot plot. We thought that, I think it was 5.1 is where we would go. And what John Williams is saying is, hey, maybe we're wrong. Maybe we will go higher. So again, lots of stuff going out. This is just normal Fed speak. They're trying to talk tough. They're trying to talk up rates. And all they're doing is really creating a 10-2 yield curve inversion like we haven't seen since 1981. Yes, I think last time I checked the yield curve, the 10 and 2 is like 0.8%, which is quite substantial. What does that mean? It means I could borrow long cheaper than I can borrow short, which is not normal and historically has indicated a recession is coming. I don't know if you saw this, but Uber reported a exceptionally strong quarter. Revenue was up 49%, 2.1 billion trips booked on Uber. I think what you're looking at with Uber is a diverse company. Unlike Lyft, whose only rides you have Uber and Uber Eats, it's a juggernaut that did well in the pandemic and now is picking up as companies go back to the office. Don't know if you saw this, but Manhattan rents hit another record, and there's actually a housing element to this. See if this logic plays in your market, especially if you're in an expensive market, right? I don't think there's any question that Manhattan is expensive real estate. So tell me if this is happening in your expensive market. Median rents in Manhattan hit an all-time high, up 15% to $4,097. Specifically in Manhattan, luxury, yes folks, I said that word, luxury rentals are picking up. Now why is that? It's because the buyers of luxury rentals are deciding to wait. They're saying, you know what? The market's kind of iffy, my job's kind of iffy, I'm just gonna wait, but hey, why don't we upgrade and rent a luxury unit? So unlike the housing market where luxury is slow, the luxury rentals in Manhattan are on fire. So I had not thought about that. So I want to ask you, are you in a market where luxury listings are slow, but maybe luxury rentals are on fire? Again, you've heard me talk about one of my goals is to buy a luxury rental in Fresno. I refer to it as Boardwalk or Park Place. I am still hunting every day. So if you are a real estate agent or know someone who has a luxury unit in Fresno, I want to buy it. We will have to do terms and all of those things. Reach out, we will talk about it. But again, I do think luxury rentals in Manhattan is interesting. The other thing to think about is New York to San Francisco. New York has clearly turned around. San Francisco has not. And that is really because of San Francisco policies. San Francisco has adopted policies that are anti-tech, anti-business. They have driven tech out, and now they have all this vacant office. I had heard that they're up to 32% office vacancies, with more subleasing seemingly coming on every week. You can't chase away your biggest customer and expect to have a recovery. So San Francisco, you made your bed. Now, unfortunately, you have to lie in it. The good news is somebody, and perhaps several somebodies, are going to make a killing in San Francisco. There are going to be some office buildings sold for pennies on the dollar. There are going to be some units put out there. Don't know when the bottom is. I wouldn't touch San Francisco, but I know there's some entrepreneurs out there that are going to figure it out and make a killing. And then last thing I read, Yahoo. Yahoo just announced a 20% layoff. Yes, folks, Yahoo is laying off 20%. As someone who has had the unfortunate duty of looking at an Excel spreadsheet and making these cuts decades ago, I can tell you, as I've said, many companies' first round of layoffs is not enough. It's the obligatory 2%, 3%, 4%. Shout out to Yahoo. They're trying to get it done in one cut, 20% by the end of the year. That is significant. So again, that's where we're at. Enjoy the view. We are coming into Kuala Lumpur. We're still slowly coming in. I think we dock in about an hour or so. So take care of yourself. Have fun. Bye.